The events that transpired in Nazi Germany stunned the world, and they inspired several prominent psychologists to investigate how populations are convinced to commit atrocities. In the process, they inadvertently established the science behind Le Bon's and Bernays' methods. In 1951, psychologist Solomon Asch set out to study and measure the effects and causes of social conformity and its ability to alter perception. To do so, he ran a series of experiments in which he asked groups of students to participate in what he told them was a vision test. In reality, all but one of the participants in each test were actually actors, each of whom had been prepped to give specific answers at specific times. The subjects were shown a card with a line on it, followed by another card with 3 lines on it, labeled 1, 2, and 3. They were then asked which line in the second card matched the line on the first card in length. The lines were made in such a way that the correct answer was obvious. Each member of the group was asked to give their response one at a time, and the real participant always answered last or next to last. For the first 2 trials, the actors gave the obvious correct answer. However, beginning on the 3rd trial, they would all give the same wrong answer. The goal was to ascertain how many people would conform to the perception of those around them when the group's position contradicted their own senses. The results surprised Asch. He had believed that the majority of participants would not conform and give an answer that was obviously wrong. However, results showed that 37% of people would conform to the crowd consistently, and 75% conformed at least some of the time. Asch was uncertain as to whether this conformity was limited to social compliance, or whether it was actually influencing perception on a neurological level. In 2005, neuroscientist Gregory Burns sought to answer this question. Burns created a variation of Asch's experiment, this time measuring brainwave activity during the test to determine at what level of the brain this conformity was taking place. The results showed very clearly that the occipital and parietal lobes were the most active when the participants were answering incorrectly. This meant that conformity was actually altering the perception of the test subjects at the neurological level. Take a moment and register what that means. Social conformity literally causes the brain to rewrite our reality. In 1961, Yale University psychologist Stanley Milgram conducted a series of experiments which measured the willingness of individuals to obey authority figures. In the experiment, test subjects were placed in a scenario where they were led to believe that when they flipped a switch, an electrical shock was being delivered to a person in the adjacent room. They were then ordered by a man in a white jacket claiming to be the official scientist in charge to ask the person in the next room a series of questions. If they received an incorrect response, they were to punish them by flipping the switch, thereby administering a shock.
For example, in the first line it reads, blue, boy, girl, grass, hat. Now after you've read the 4 choices, the learner pushes one of the switches on the board in front of him, and the number he has selected will light up in this box, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Now if he gives the correct answer, you say correct and go on to the next line. The correct answer is underlined and is also indicated in the right margin. Yeah. If he were to indicate the wrong answer, you would say wrong. Then tell him the number of volts you're going to give him. Then give him the punishment. Then read the correct word pair once, and then go on to the next line.
As the test progressed, the voltage level was steadily increased, and the screams from the next room became more and more desperate, begging to stop the test and stating multiple times that they had a heart condition.
330 volts.
Let me out of here. Let me out of here. My heart's bothering me. Let me out, I tell you. Let me out. Let me out of here. You have no right to hold me here. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out.
Excellent. Fast.
Let me out. Let me out.
Many of the subjects expressed hesitation about continuing with the experiment upon hearing the person in the other room scream and beg for help. Those that did were informed by the scientists that they had no choice but to continue. No consequences were threatened, yet just this assertion was usually enough to achieve compliance. Under the influence of an apparent authority figure, 50 to 65% of subjects continued administering the shocks even up to the maximum 450 volt shock. They even continued after the person in the other room had stopped screaming, which indicated that they were unconscious or dead.
Bird, car, train, plane.
Go on, please.
Please answer. The answer is bird, 345 volts. Blunt, knife, stick, word, arrow. Answer, please.
Continue, please.
The answer is arrow. 360 volts.
Go on, please, with the experiment. Please continue.
The Milgram authority experiment has been repeated numerous times over the years using individuals from a wide range of economic and social backgrounds, and the conclusions are always consistent. The aura of authority exercises an almost irresistible force over the human mind, easily overriding core morals and ethics. Even more shocking is the fact that no legitimate authority is necessary. Appearances suffice.